my name is Jenna Mayotte. I am the Business Resource Center Coordinator here at Simsbury Public Library. I took over, I don't know if many of you knew Jennifer Cohane. I took over her position several months ago. So welcome to Wednesday night is business night. So this is one of our regular programs, and one of the things that we do at the library, we do specifically programs for business, people in business, topics of interest to business people. Excuse me. If this is your first program attending with us on the business program side, I do have some handouts in the back of the room that will let you know what's coming up in October. And I have a sign-up sheet for our newsletter. So if you are not aware of the programs that we have, please do sign up for that, and I can get you on our list to make sure you know all of our future programs. So I'm not going to tell you too much about myself, because we are all here to talk about cloud computing and intro to cloud computing. So I just want to give a brief introduction and thank you to Joe O'Donnell, who is President and founder of SWAT Technologies, and he has graciously agreed to come here to the library tonight to give an introduction on cloud computing, talk about security issues, what is it, how it might apply to your business, why you should be interested or know more about it. So without further ado,
thank you. Can you all hear me fine? Yeah? Okay. I think it's customary for me to start out with a joke. So how do you know if you're a bad cook? You use a smoke alarm as a kitchen timer. It's an old one, but a good one. How many people here feel they have a good grasp of cloud computing already? Okay. How about somewhat of a grasp? How about, I don't know what the heck it is. All right, trying to gauge you guys. So we're going to start out with what's going to be covered. We'll give a definition of exactly what the cloud is. And in reality, it's just the internet is really what it is. But if the cloud is to allow people to find private and public spaces on the internet to use different kinds of services. And we're going to talk about those different kinds of services and how they apply, kind of where all this is going. And then you can decide whether you want to live long enough to see it or not. We'll talk about cloud services. Security. It's the number one question I get asked. You are asked to give up a lot when you move things to the cloud. It's not on your desktop computer anymore. It's not on your laptop. It's not on your iPad. It's up there. So you want to know that who you're dealing with is somebody you can trust. We're going to give some real-world examples. I've had 2 clients move their business to the cloud. There's been some positive aspects to it and some negative aspects to it. I'll tell you what they are. And give you a little bit about what's coming around the corner from the near term to the far term. And then we'll finish with some questions. All right, so we have a little history, kind of the evolution of how we got here. So we had 3 major revolutions in this country, right? We had the land revolution. That's where kings owned land, and then they fought over land. And land is what everybody wanted, and that's how you control things. Then what do we have? The Industrial Revolution. Right? The Carnegie, the Fords, you own the means of production, and you own the actual physical assets, and that's where the wealth came. And now where are we? In the Internet Revolution. And what's that? Well, the value is no longer land or things, or people even. The value becomes information, access to information, the ability to find information easily, use it, and produce value with that information. So now the kings are like the CEO of Amazon, Apple, and Netflix. 5 years ago, I thought it would be a crazy idea to watch a movie on a dumb little phone. And what do you think my kids are doing today? So it's hard to predict the future and think about where things are going. So, what's the market for the cloud computing? Well, 87% of companies report reviewing cloud-based computing alternatives. These include some locally I know of, the Hartford, the United Technologies. Most of them are looking at what are called private clouds to make their own departments have their own kind of intranet, what they used to call intranet, and their own access to information, and all be web-based. 64% report using cloud-based services other than just backup. That's quite high. That used to be around 4 or 5% 5 years ago. 47% plan to deploy some sort of cloud-based user services in the next 18 months. To give an example of what a cloud-based user service could be, Travelocity is a cloud-based user service. It holds your ticket information, allows you to book, allows you to connect through to a hotel to find availability. That's a cloud-based service. 18% have already converted at least one application or service to a cloud-based service. What does that mean? Give an example. There's a church in West Hartford, and they use a program called Church Windows. It sits on a server inside their building. Well, they moved all that to the cloud, so now they open up Internet Explorer and use the same application. It's not, they don't have to worry about backing it up or anything. And if something's wrong with it, the people that are hosting the cloud are responsible. They don't have to call me in there and or call them up on the phone or anything. So it's quite an advantage. So, how will IT spending change in 2013 related to cloud? Well, the latest research shows there'll be a 16% decrease for some, 35% say it'll do about the same, and 49% actually see an increase. And a lot of that is attributed to cloud computing because you're converting over from one system to another. And that adds a temporary layer of cost in making transitions. Okay, landscape reality. I don't know if you know, but HP is just about finished their 27,000 layoffs. And that was in lieu of things moving from desktop and laptops to mobile devices. And that is rising at about 187%. PC sales are rising at about 6%. So it's a dramatic difference in what's going on. And you probably noticed that everywhere you go with everybody getting their head down into something, right? So HP claims the market shifting to mobile devices, so they're basically reorganizing themselves. And these mobile devices will be accessing what? Cloud services. Dell, I don't know if you've known about what's going on with Dell, but they're all but gone. They're trying to get a private sale for that company. And that's to do the same thing, moving the mobile devices to cloud services. So what does that mean? Well, here's the question. How many of you here own a computer? It can be a laptop or desktop. All of you? Okay. Now, how many of you here own a mobile device, like a BlackBerry, iPhone, iPad, Kindle Fire? Okay, we're at most of you. Now, critical question. How many of you write letters, keep track of finances on your computers? But, how many of you do the same thing on your mobile devices? Right? They say it's moving that way, right? This is the second year I've had note from everybody that they don't do those things. They don't do those common tasks. So what are they doing with these things, right? They're browsing the internet, they're consuming information, they're using the information, they're making connections with other people like LinkedIn and other stuff like that. But still what it comes down to doing that's a task. They're going back to the computer. So I haven't quite got that yet. I've tried to use Microsoft Office on the iPad, and I don't want to throw it out the window. It was to do anything of length. It's too laborious. I tried to use remote access on an iPad going into my computer. I can't slide or scroll or do anything with it. Pretty useless. So there's still a long way to go on this kind of stuff.
It has to do with the keyboard. I mean, you're just like, if you type on your keyboard.
Yeah, but like for example, when I was trying to remote in, and if you want to scroll down, when you hit scroll buttons, they don't work. Yeah, so I can't go down any further than I am. I have to use the little arrow dude, and it becomes very confining. It was a little bit blurry, stuff like that. So what kind of models are there out in the cloud market? Well, one is called a consumption model. So that's usually for storage resources, access to remote files. Many of you probably heard of Carbonite, Mozy, iDrive, those kind of off-site backup systems. And also Google Docs would be an example of a consumption model where people like to store their docs up in the cloud, not on their computers. There's the services model. So that's a platform that delivers functionality like Netflix for streaming. How many of you know where, first, how many of you watch Netflix streaming? Not too many? How many of you know where those movies are stored, where they actually come from?
Amazon, Northern Virginia.
Amazon, right, that's right. When Amazon went down, Netflix went down. And there's a deployment market. So that's things like Office Live 365. I don't know if you've heard of mint.com. You might want to check it out. It's very cool. You log in there and you can see all your bank accounts, all your financials, everything in one place. You can't make transactions on it, but you can view it. So it'll give you a net worth thing at the bottom. So you can, if you have a Fidelity account, if you have a Western Bank account, and you have a Wells Fargo account, you can finally see all three on one screen. It's pretty cool. And it's very, very secure to make you change the password all the time. Definitely something to look into. That's a cloud service. All right, so there's cloud computing deployment models. First one is called private cloud. Those are going to be done by big businesses, not you guys. They're the ones who want to usually want to segment business sections and make their own access to information. But kind of a smaller version of this is Dropbox. How many of you know Dropbox? Quite a few of you do that. So you're doing cloud computing when you're using Dropbox. I'll give you a scary story about Dropbox later, just to make you feel good. Community cloud. That's a superset of the private cloud. It supports the needs of several extended community organizations. And again, these community clouds were built and operated by members of the community or third-party providers. So if, let's say, the library had docs that are not secure, in other words, they don't mind if you want to get to them, they can make a private cloud so you guys can get the special library docs without having to compromise their security into their main systems. That would be a community cloud. And finally, it's the public cloud. And that infrastructure available to the general public. Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, EC2, has some delivers Netflix movies, and Google Docs. How many of you are using anything like Google Docs? Any of you? Yeah. Do you like it? The answer. Do you like it?
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah? Good. This is kind of an example of some of the companies out there that are providing these types of services, Salesforce.com, Microsoft. I've been deploying online Microsoft Exchange to a few companies. It's one of the best things I've ever seen, and I hate Microsoft, but they did this right. And what it does is it allows you to get your Outlook email synced to your phone over the cloud, and it's real time. So I have 3 law firms using it. They're a total of about 30 people for a little over a year, and this is how many phone calls I've gotten back that something's wrong. So it's really, really solid. $4 a month per user, and I haven't seen anything break down with it at all. So it's very good. So it's called Online Microsoft Exchange, and it's great. What was happening, you know, you talk about solving problems. The attorney would be sitting there in court, and they say, "What's your calendar?" And you go, I have to run back to my office and check my calendar or call my secretary. Not anymore. She has a public calendar. She can look at it. Okay, I can do it right in front of you, Judge. We're saving all this time for instant access to information. I was telling you about the internet revolution, right? Where information is where the value is. So for her, it's like gold. Okay, this is an example of a server facility that would be storing cloud information. And we're talking about the order of what are called petabytes of information. So you have your megabytes, 1,000 megabytes is a gigabyte, 1,000 gigabytes is a terabyte, 1,000 terabytes is a petabyte. Right now, Netflix has 6 petabytes of movies for you to watch, and they are consuming 41% of internet traffic ahead of YouTube. Almost half the traffic is Netflix streaming right now. But on average, 24 million users watching something on Netflix. That's a real revolution. Okay, and this is an example of kind of how the Netflix would work. What you're looking at here is the Amazon cloud, and that's where all the movies are stored and all those big, huge servers you just saw. Okay, and they stream them over to Netflix. Netflix is basically keeping your queue, your list of movies you like to watch, and choices you pay. And then Netflix shoots it down to you, into either your TV or your Blu-ray player. All for $7.99 a month to do this. And they have about, I think, 310,000 movies available. It's pretty impressive. Like I said, I would never have thought I'd be watching streaming movies. And the quality right now of this is stunning. I mean, some of the high-def streaming looks as good as the Blu-ray player, which is about as high as you can go in quality. You have any questions so far as we're going along? Yeah.
You mentioned Microsoft Office.
Mm-hmm.
I just got onto Google Business Apps in the last few days, and I mean, I haven't had a lot of experience with it, but it certainly does what Microsoft Office Exchange does.
Yes.
And I so far, I've been very pleased with the support, technical support they've gotten just to get things up and running. And I had a number of issues, but we did work through.
Were you calling people, or were you emailing, or
No, I was
ticket?
calling. I'm not technically savvy, so I have to have somebody sort of, they did through Join Me, and they sort of saw where I was, so I could get things right the first time.
Good, good. So, what are the upsides to doing things like what Vic is doing? Well, scale. It's far easier, more cost-effective to scale deployments to larger numbers of people. So, for example, if Vic has something he wants all of you to see, it's a lot more laborious to sit there, find the file, and email it, as opposed to sharing it with large groups of people instantaneously. Integration. This allows the integration of documents, contact, calendaring, and other items that bring fast, real-time environment to the workplace. Think like iCloud. I just set up a whole family on a family calendar with iCloud. Everyone knows what everyone's doing, where they are, and they keep track of their calendar. They have the same contact book. So if the dad adds a contact, the daughter has the contact now too. And no one has to go calling people phone numbers or anything. Everybody has everything. If they just someone just went to a wedding, the rest of the family has the photos automatically. So it's pretty nice. High availability. Mission critical files, templates, and reports can all be made available in real time in a secure fashion. So again, it's available 24/7. So the cloud doesn't sleep. So once again, use the example of Vic emailing you. He's not going to email you at 3 in the morning. But if you shared out all the files, you can get up at 3 in the morning and go look at them. You don't have to wait for someone to do something. It's always available. So, are there downsides? Yep. This can be a real pain, migrating your stuff. They had a real hard time with their church, and there's a different church, moving their stuff up there. There was a limit to file sizes. They had videos of sermons, and they couldn't upload the videos, so they had to resize it with a tool and stuff like that. Some of the uploads failed. The iPad wouldn't work with it, things like that. So there are some things that you got to do your research before you think about actually making a move like this. Think about what you do, how you do it, and how this is going to change how you do everything, and what's going to be involved in getting all your stuff from here up there, and whether it's viable or not. Like I said, they can't put the videos up there. They had to come in and get a video editor and shrink them all down so that it would work. And they didn't know that was coming. Security. Essentially leaving security in the hands of someone else outside your domain. I'll tell you a little story about Carbonite. You've probably heard them advertised a lot. How many of you have read their terms of service? If you want to get a frightening view of the world, read their terms of service. They own your stuff. They don't have to give it back to you. It's all in writing. And, it doesn't mean it wouldn't, but they got more protections on their end. If the backups don't work, too bad. So essentially, you're wondering why $59 a year. It's like, well, we're not responsible for your data. We own it. We don't have to give it back to you. And if our product doesn't work, we're not at fault. That's essentially their terms of services. So that's what you get for $59. So if you are going to move documents to somewhere like Google Docs or whatever, really read it and find out, like if I don't like this, how do I get my stuff back? I had someone that did the things with Salesforce.com, and it was so restructured that when they gave it back to them, they couldn't use it anymore. So they were stuck. They had to recreate the documents from scratch, the whole application. So you have to be careful about that's one of the biggest questions. Like, if I don't like what you're doing, how do I get my stuff back? And how fast do I get it back? Control. This is worse, especially for men. You have to give it up. So for backups, you're not doing the backups anymore. They are. You hope they are. They're doing maintenance. They're doing upgrades. So you do lose a certain amount of control. And what does that mean? You have to give over trust. And see, again, it goes back to why you really, really have to research this stuff. Ask around, find blogs what other people are saying, and you can ignore what are called the flamers, the people who just write nasty things about everything, but you can pretty much get a good sense of things. Just today, this guy with his printer and the scanning keeps breaking. The first Google thing was 130,000 people, same problem. And the same exact error message and the same, they can't fix it, they can't fix it, they can't fix it. And I finally found out it's an effective product, and it's been recalled. So you can find a lot of good stuff out there. All right. So let's define it. Backup and storage is one of the most popular applications in the cloud. So I personally use something called iDrive. Like I said, there's also Carbonite, Mozy, and a million other ones out there. Norton has their own online, Dell has their own online backup. Dell's doesn't go to Dell, by the way. It goes to a third-party company. The key to backup and storage is not backing up, it's restoration. Backing up is easy. Getting your stuff back in the whole piece is not that easy. Right now, if I was going to recommend something, it would be iDrive. I've had to do restorations for people. They keep 30 versions of every file, of everything you have. We've had to go back in time because something got corrupt and we had to go back and get an older version of it. It worked. Very good. Applications, like Office Live 365, we were talking to someone about before. We can use Microsoft Office Online, Google Docs, things like that. They're getting more and more popular because people are hearing about more and more other people doing them and hearing better and better stories. So they're feeling more secure about actually plunging into this area. This is hugely popular, file sharing. You see a lot of people doing this with photos, right? Like Kodak and all these other companies that allow you to invite people in to see photos. It could be weddings or showers or what have you. That's very, very popular. So, here's some examples. Like I was saying, iDrive. They give you 5 gigabytes of data for free, by the way. It's pretty nice. And iCloud. Apple came up with that about a year ago. They give out 5 gigabytes for free. What's nice is the iTunes and your music and your apps, your books, and your photo streams don't count against 5 gigabytes. So it's pretty good. Your iTunes count against it, you'd be all over the amount of music I see people have.
Do you still own that stuff once it's out there, or do they?
Yeah. It's really just the iCloud is just a transfer system. It's like a synchronization system like Dropbox. So it isn't actually being stored at Apple. It's bouncing up to Apple and bouncing back to someone else. So you know, with, like I said, with the carbonite, you're storing your stuff. So it's sitting on their servers. And, you know, to those kind of people, the guy driving, they want to read the terms of service and who's responsible, the service level agreement. Most people try to get out of these things and have all these waivers all over the place that we're not responsible for this, that, and everything. Then what's the point? So there's another one called Dropbox, and that gives you 2 gigabytes for free. It's a very smart strategy. I don't know anybody who has less than 2 gigabytes worth of data. So, you know, they give you something that's fairly useless and you'll run out of space very fast, and that will make you say, oh, I better upgrade or find something else. So the way it works is you drop a file in your Dropbox folder on computer A over here, and computer B will be located in Thailand. It doesn't matter, we'll get that same file. And subsequently delete, it's deleted over here, so it's kind of a mirror of the system. So, applications, talk about Microsoft Office Live 365. That's got some pretty good reviews so far. QuickBooks, I don't know if any of you use QuickBooks, but you can use it online. You don't have to have it on your computer. I find it to be slow, bungling type of application. So, thank you. And I've seen the online version. It's pretty neat. You lose some features, but you don't have to worry about your own support or anything. They have to take care of all that. Like I talked about before, mint.com. You can put all your banking investment information in one spot and see it. So you can also share files from Microsoft Office Live 365, Google Drive, which replaces the old Google Docs, and something called Box.net. That's one of the ones that one of the churches converted to. And I'm going to tell you what they're thinking of it. They've lived in it for 6 months now, and show you what they thought. All right, so is the cloud secure? That's probably question number 1. So I'd say sometimes. Dropbox for a 24-hour period lost authentication service. What that meant is anything you put in for a username and password, you can see everybody else's Dropbox for 24 hours in all the files. So, it was confusing people because they'd log in and go, that's not my stuff. It's someone else's stuff. And they fixed it, but it proved that you can, they had failure points, and you've got to be aware of those kind of things. Epsilon, their outsourced cloud-based email provider, fell to a phishing attack and exposed emails of 75 of their top customers. And the iStore and Apple exposed high-profile people's accounts, including Tom Cruise's, for about 8 hours. So there's a lot out there that is vulnerable. And so if you're out there, that means you're vulnerable. You got to be willing to accept the risk. Because in technology, I don't care what anybody says about the word solutions. There's no such thing. It's trade-offs. That's what all this stuff is. And that's usually where the frustration point is people want a solution that works all the time. And there's almost really no such thing. If you were to say, can you build me a computer that will always work, never break down, and last 20 years, I'd say, yeah, give me $10,000, and I could probably do it. I'll have everything redundant, and so when things break, you won't even know it. Who wants to spend $10,000 on a computer? No one. So, it's all about trade-offs. All right, here's a real-world example. This was really cool. Law firm. They were using a piece of software, and I was reviewing what they're doing. I said, what are you doing with this? And it was supposed to look up case law, it could sync calendars, it could do all this kind of stuff. All they were doing was syncing calendars and contacts with it. And it's $3,000 a year to rent it. And I said, you swear you're not doing anything else with this? They go, yeah. So, we switched to Apple's iCloud. Cost? 0. Save $3,000 a year. Now, the other piece of software had a lot of nice stuff, but as you know, with software, people usually use 2 to 10% of the total value of software. So they were probably using a half of 1%. So, but they're very happy with this. It works somewhat like the Exchange. Their calendars and stuff are updating in real time, and they haven't had a hitch since they've used it. And I always know that we're going to have a hitch. The phone rings, or I get text, or I get email. So that's how I gauge these things. All right, so what are companies saying to switch to the cloud? What are they saying? Here's the positives. This is the church that moved to box.net. And they moved about 75 gigabytes worth of data. Access to files anytime from anywhere from any device. That was really important to them. They do ministries, they travel. It was important to be able to get at stuff when they needed to get at stuff. They have security layers, are easy to manage. What are security layers? Bob can look at this folder, but Sandy can't look at this folder. Things like that. We have security permissions for files and folders. I said it's very easy to use. Assigning tasks were very easy to use. And it makes a complete Office integration that's in the cloud, that's anywhere in the world you want. So now the Office is not in the church anymore. The Office is up there. It's anywhere you want. You know, the Office is here. It's anywhere. So that was very important to them. And yes, there were some negatives. The iPad had a lot of failures. It was slow and didn't do as much as they wanted. And they were really hoping to use the iPad more. Files wouldn't save correctly, and they'd have to manually upload. And sometimes it was slow, and I don't doubt that it's going to be slow. If they're opening large PowerPoints or something like that online, that's going to be a factor. No internet, no nothing. A lot of people forget that if you go to the cloud and you don't have internet, you don't have anything. One exception is some of these services synchronize with your PC, so you can work what's called offline. On your PC, when the internet gets back up, it syncs to the cloud. And this box.net does do that, and some others don't. I have an architectural firm. They're using the product called Excelli. And what that allows you to do, they have a lot of CAD files because they're architects. And they're big and clunky to email. So they've created what are called workspaces in this cloud-based thing. And the workspace names are the project names. And so anytime any architect across the country in this firm wants to go look at the latest CAD file for the giant stadium project, you can just log in, go find it, download it, modify it, and throw it back up for everybody else. And they can assign any user to be a viewer, a contributor, or a manager of each workspace. So it's good layers of security and very easy to use. They've been very happy with it. So, the future ain't what it used to be. Be not afraid. So, the market is going to determine all this stuff, not the hype. It's going to come down to security and usability. That's going to be the bottom line of this stuff. Because if it's frustrating to use, people will walk away. Just like anything else. For example, go on Verizon's website and find their support number. And you can do it in less than 30 minutes if you get $10. You won't find it. It's not there. And I think what's going to happen is I think the younger generation is going to be a lot more accepting of this stuff. They don't seem to care who knows what about what with them. It's not a good thing, but they're going to be the ones that are probably going to be jumping all over this stuff. When they come into companies, they're going to be the ones who are going to be transforming the companies, and that's going to be, in the next 10 to 15 years. And whether that's good or bad will determine how responsible they are, and then how they implement this stuff. The idea now is you shouldn't have to pay for anything. Everything should be free, and you should be able to look at anything you want and just get it. They're consumers of everything. Now, a 20-year-old, she doesn't care what anybody thinks about what she writes on Facebook. And it's when you apply for a job and you read your stuff, and they do. So, it's going to be slower than people think. And so this thing's going to be happening, but it's not going to be like that. It's going to be very choppy because there's going to be a lot of bumps along the way. So don't feel pressured by the stuff by any means in terms of thinking, I got to be in this because this is the game that's going on. You already told me that you're not writing anything, you're doing financials or anything on your mobile devices or in the cloud. So it's going to be a slow go. Some applications will never be practical in a cloud-based environment. Great example, AutoCAD. I've never seen that going into the cloud. I don't know if you've ever seen this program. That's where they design buildings, sewer systems, everything. It's extremely complicated. You need a very powerful machine to use it, and you need extremely good graphics on the screen right in front of you. It's very practical to move something like that to the cloud. So some things just won't go there. And that is it. So questions? Lady in the back.
Yeah, I have a question if you have an office where you have, let's say you have 5 people sharing documents, working on the same projects and things. If people have desktop applications for those cloud services and they're syncing that way, how do you prevent or manage several versions of a same document? Because in an environment we're in now, it's like you can't open it if someone else is in it.
Right.
But that kind of diminishes when you're in the cloud, and how do you keep from getting it all confused and knowing what everybody's working on and working on the most current version?
It is a problem. It depends. Some of these systems have a check-in and check-out system, so you know what version you're looking at. You're looking at the version created by blank on this date. And so there could be 10 versions of them, so you'll know who created it, who modified it, and on what date. And some don't do that at all. So they like this Excelian thing with these architects. They like it, but they don't exactly know when Bob put the new stuff back up there. So they have to be checking the project file all the time. So yeah, that is definitely a problem. Because right now, you're right, you can't do duplication like that. And but a lot of cloud services keep multiple versions of your files, and you don't even know it. You don't even see these files. And that's for like data recovery purposes. But does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question on pricing. I put together a few small websites and I just looked at Amazon, or right now it's just on a shared hosting service. And so I looked at Amazon cloud hosting just to see what it would cost. And I'm a bit confused. They have things like 6 cents per hour per on-demand instance and all these, doesn't it just run all the time?
What kind of service is it that you were looking at?
Well, I was just, like, they say their AWS free usage for a year, you get 750 hours of a Unix or Red Hat Linux. Of course, for 31 days in a month, that's only 744 hours, so I don't know where they get additional 6 hours maximum on there. It's like, how is...
Well, what are you looking for?
Right now, I was looking at hosting websites.
Oh, just hosting websites?
Yeah, but I came to the conclusion, yeah, that's not the right application for it.
LunarPages.com, $5 a month. There's a lot of them like that.
Oh, yeah.
Host Excellence, one-in-one.com.
Stable host in Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, I think my grandmother hosts websites. I mean, everybody's.
Yeah, that's right.
So, no, I think what they're talking about is the type of services you would sell to a very large company that is deploying stuff. So they're talking about a usage base rather than just docs just sitting.
So if I host an application on their Amazon cloud, I don't get charged like the 6 cents an hour when I'm using it there.
Yeah, it's based on traffic. Yep. And some people throw what called application bombs that will write a script that will run your application for like 72 hours, and you get charged $1 million. Or like, these pay-per-click things, you get, you pay 5 cents to Google every time someone lands on your page. People have written scripts that will all land on your page 7,000 times, and you get this big bill. So they're called bombers. It's fun up there. Yes.
Joe, a quick comment and then a question. Just on Dropbox, I must say that I love my phone now because they give you Dropbox for free. When I take a picture, I used to have to get it to my PC either with a wire or something, or email it to myself and then store it and so on. But now with Dropbox for free on at least the Samsung here, I take the picture, I look at it, and I just click on it. It says add to Dropbox, and I just click add to Dropbox. And then I go to my PC, and whatever was on my phone is on my PC, and I do what I like with it. That is really nice. And I have to say, Dropbox for photos is great.
One thing you want to be careful about is the cost of data traffic. Because you have everyone has a data plan. You usually pay around $30 a month.
Well,
That's
it's free.
my gig.
It's free with the Sprint service.
They don't charge you for that traffic?
No, Dropbox is free when you.
I know the
sign
Dropbox,
up.
I'm talking about the data traffic, when it's transferring your photos over.
Yeah, but I have unlimited Sprint data.
Oh, you have unlimited, then,
Which
yeah,
is
not
part of
everybody
that.
does.
Oh, okay, that's the other thing. All right, just quickly on, going along that way, at one of your former lecture you were at last year or something, we were talking about Gmail and how I love it. And I kind of consider Gmail like the cloud, because if I have an important document, I email it to somebody or even to myself. And now if my whole computer blew up or something, I could always go to my Gmail account and download that same document. So if it's important, I put it out there just in a Gmail. And
Yeah.
that's kind of a cloud, right? Now you
In a
said,
way, yeah.
I've already used like 10 or 20% of it. I'm gonna have to upgrade at some point. And you were talking about just paying a fee to upgrade your Gmail box size. Could you comment on that more? Is that worthwhile? Have you upgraded your own?
I don't use the Dropbox.
No, Gmail, I mean.
Oh, Gmail.
Sorry, Gmail.
I haven't had to, no. I just haven't used all the space. I'm not like an email hoarder. I'm one of these people who likes to have only 7 things in the inbox.
Oh, you delete as soon as you receive a lot of it?
Pretty close to it, unless it's something important like in a project, ongoing stuff.
But if you send a letter to somebody, boom, it's there. You don't have to save it on your computer because you already sent it. You can always go back to your Gmail and see
Sure.
what you sent, right?
When Storm Alfred came and I was out 11 days with power, I was getting all my email either on my phone or I go to the library
Yeah.
because it's everywhere. But a good way to my computer once I brought to the library. But this was, I ran my business off this phone for Alfred. Right? I mean, you can take calls, you can get emails, you can do what you need to get texts, you can do what you need to do. So this was running my business. So, any other questions? Yeah.
That mint.com, that's kind of scary though. You're talking about putting all your financials in one place.
You're not putting anything
But still, you're giving access to something or somebody.
in. What you're doing is, let's say you have a Fidelity account. You pick your Fidelity from the drop down, and then it would want your username and password for your Fidelity account, and then you see your Fidelity account in a window. Yeah, that's essentially what it is.
So you're giving them your username and password. You're giving it to who?
No, it's encrypted when you put it in there. It's encrypted. It's 256-bit encryption. Here, I'll give you an example. I'll reverse that on you. Okay, you ever book a hotel?
Maybe,
Yeah. And over the phone? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. What did they ask you for?
You mean your credit card?
Right.
Yeah.
And who was that who asked you that? What
I
was
have
their
no
name?
idea.
That's right. You don't know who they were.
Right.
Go out to eat, giving the 22-year-old kid your credit card, aren't you? Right? Goes back there, he can make a copy of it. He has the CID on the back. I think it's actually worse than the online. The online, when they do that stuff, they scramble it. To give you an idea of 256-bit encryption, do you remember Big Blue? IBM had played chess against Gary Kasparov, and it beat him, and it did Jeopardy. That can crack 256-bit encryption. It takes about 8 days for that computer. That's how complicated it is.
I can't even.
It can be done. Yeah, if they have Big Blue hanging out, they want to rent them for $5 million or something. But no, it's very secure. Very secure. And also the keys change. So they do a change every hour on the key. I don't know if you know the way encryption works, but it delivers a key, and the key can open up a file on the other side. Well, most banks and all these other institutions like that, Mint and all these other ones, they change their keys every hour. It's like you ever have a token at work, and the tokens have to change all the time. It's the same idea. So it's very, very hard to break into these things. But you don't have to do it.
No, but you were talking about how, you know, the IAM or whatever was exposing everybody.
Yeah, things can happen. That's why we use the word trade-offs. You know, if it takes me 15 minutes to look up all my financial information, or if it takes me 1, and then you decide. You say, well, I mean, they can do the same thing. I mean, who has an account at Simsbury Bank? Yeah? Did they ask you for ID? No, ask me. And I don't even know the tellers. They're supposed to. So what can I do? Go over someone else's stuff, get his account, leave, come back the next day, take $500 out. And they won't ask for my ID. So that's not online. So there's a lot of offline stuff that can be very risky too. But if I'm on Simsbury Bank, when I log in, it's all encrypted. No one can read that. It looks like Scrabble. So, you know, if I go to Webster, they always ask for it. So, that's that help. Or just scaring everybody. Any other questions?
It's just the cloud itself. We were talking about the prices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Each one of them that you go to, each one of the iCloud or MacCloud,
Mhm.
they all charge no matter what. I mean, you can only get that small amount, and then they start charging you per
Gigabyte.
gigabyte.
Yeah, it'll just scale up.
And how do they charge you? Do you have to pay by PayPal, or
Usually a credit card.
they have what, they take it right out of your credit card?
Yeah, credit card, debit card. Yeah, how many people have a credit card? I mean, I have 212 usernames and passwords. I store it encrypted in Microsoft Excel. From everything from Amazon to Tiger Direct to banks. It's crazy. So a lot of people will have my usernames and passwords and credit cards. And that's just the way it is out there. So. Yes?
Joe, do you use something to keep track of all those passwords, did you say? You use a particular piece of software? I've been looking for one lately because I'm getting to that point I can't remember.
RoboForm is great.
What is RoboForm?
RoboForm, you can do a single password, and the greatest thing to me for it is filling out forms. You know, when you're checking out, you have to put all your stuff in. You can hit one thing, put a password in, and it fills out the whole form.
Yeah, I actually saw that one
It's
recently.
nice.
It's really cool. Is that also mobile?
Mobile?
Does it work mobile? Like, does
Yeah,
it?
it does. It has a mobile version, and I use it all the time. So, but you gotta make your master password really complicated. But then that's the only one you have to remember. And, you know, but if your computer blows up, you're not backing the computer up, your RoboForm data goes with it, and so does your password. So that's why I put them encrypted in Excel. And now I have to find another thing, because Microsoft doofuses made something called Preview in Microsoft Office. Have you seen this? If you select a file, on the right frame will show the contents of the file. All right? Well, I figured it's not going to show the contents of a password-protected file. Oops, yes it does. I can see my usernames and passwords by just selecting the file and Preview on the right of a password-protected document. So, you know, it's always something. So I got to find another way to do it. I'll probably just build something in Access. I don't know.
What was that? What was that you did that?
It's Office 2007 and 2010 allows you to preview files without opening them, but it also allows you to preview password-protected files. So then what's the use of that, right? So, One thing you do, if you do create one of these files, name it a very innocuous name in your computer, so that anybody ever got in your computer, they wouldn't know what to look for. You know, call it teddy bear, or something that no one would like know that that's your password. I had someone, and I'm not kidding, she put in Microsoft Outlook, she made a contact called passwords. And put all her stuff in there, Bank of America, and then syncs it with her phone. So she loses this phone, and someone finds it and goes, oh, look at that. So that's what's called data leakage. So, you know, and this is the biggest challenge for companies now, is people might be taking sensitive information, syncing it on their phone, now they're out in public, and what if they're a payroll person and they have social security numbers?
Do you lock your phone, Joe?
Yeah.
You do, but every time you want to use it, you have to unlock it. It's like, you know, that's a pain. Is it worth it to go through your little?
Yeah, because I have notes on my customers in here. So, you know.
Need the privacy.
Yeah, it isn't like, you know, what color underwear they wear. But it might be something a little bit about them that I have in the notes section. So I know if I'm going there, something about them. So it's just how, I wouldn't want anybody else to know that,
So if I were to email you now and you wanted to check your email, before you check it, you have to put in your personal code.
Yeah. You know, what we talked about, trade-offs, right? So, all right, any other questions? All right, thank you for coming.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.